Hi, I'm Jennifer Garner. I'm speaking today on behalf of myself and as a Neutrogena brand ambassador. For 21 years, the Melanoma Research Foundation has honored patients and caregivers for their courage and strength, along with supporting them through their unique journeys with melanoma. So many patients have been sustained not only by science and medicine, but also by the support of those who have walked by their side. The patients who have stood on this stage year after year inspire us all. They give us the tenacity to keep pushing forward. The progress we make is their power to advocate for even better treatment and one day a cure. So tonight, we celebrate the brave individuals who are willing to share their story and help create awareness about this disease. I encourage you to read their full bios in the program and introduce yourselves to them this evening. I wish I were there in person to do the same. Every patient has their own journey, their own hurdles to get past, moments of success, moments of despair. The main thing they all have in common is their courage. All melanoma journeys come with their own unique challenges, and yet we see so much strength and resilience in this community. Please take a moment to listen to these inspirational stories now. Thank you.
When I participated in the Sun documentary by Neutrogena, I was hoping to convey that melanoma does not discriminate. It affects everyone. And when I participated, I was hoping that this would finally bring awareness and everybody would, really understand to take the precautions necessary and go to the dermatologist to get themselves checked. I had no idea that you could get melanoma under your fingernail. I didn't even know that it existed. I was about 10 or 11 when I was diagnosed with melanoma, and I had this really dark line in my thumbnail. And I went to the pediatrician. She kind of dismissed it, and eventually I went to the dermatologist for a whole other thing. I had a rash or something, and she noticed my thumbnail, and she goes, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, it's been here for a while." And then they had to do a biopsy right then and there. My family was a big support when I had to go through the procedure. My mother, of course, she was with me. We actually had to go to a plastic surgeon to do the surgery because they didn't want my finger to be deformed. So, and it was overwhelming process. And I was a child, so I didn't really understand the whole thing, but my family, my siblings, everybody was there. And I had to get the operation twice. So the first time it was done, and then they saw that some of the melanoma was still there, so they had to go back in and remove my nail completely. So it was a very traumatic situation, but at the same token, because I had my family support, I was able to get through it. I would like people of color to make sure they go to their dermatologist at least once a year. Anything that, may be a little off that they're concerned about, definitely get it checked out. This Courage Award is very meaningful. I was very surprised that I was even, being given the award because I didn't even realize what I was doing was courageous. I just looked at it as me trying to help and bring awareness to as many people as possible. Even being an advocate, so many people who didn't know what melanoma was called me and asked me, "So what is that? How do you get it?" And I'm just grateful and very appreciative that my story could help others and that I'm being awarded with it. It's amazing, and I'm happy.
I always loved being in the sun, being outside, whether before the Olympic stage or in my youth. It just made me feel alive, and I never thought anything different of it. I grew up in Northern California, so when I was a young swimmer, I swam outside in my Speedo without a care. When I got melanoma, I looked back at my life, trying to figure out where maybe I had some missteps. I knew about sunscreen, and I was conscious to associate sunscreen with vacation, but I never once thought I should be putting sunscreen on while I was training outside in the pool. When I was diagnosed with melanoma, I was freaked out. I think I was in shock. I didn't digest any of the information from the call from my doctor, so much so that I had to grab a pad of paper and a pencil and call them back and write down exactly what they were saying. People are actually really surprised at the information that I bring them about melanoma. And I have to say, I had to rework my relationship with the sun. After my third melanoma, I sort of threw my hands up, like, as if the sun was like an ex-boyfriend. And I was like, I don't even know who you are anymore. I thought I knew you, and I thought you used to make me feel good. And now I can't even be around you, and you drive me crazy. So the first thing I had to do, the first thing I did was reworked my relationship with the sun. And then I felt like I could deliver my message of advocacy and information to people better. Sun safety in my family is a very big topic, and my kids will say they've never had a sunburn. And then I look at them and say, do you know how lucky you are that you haven't had a sunburn? Because you have a mom who makes you wear sunscreen and cover up when it's intensely hot outside. So whether they're playing sports, whether they're outside doing yard work, whether they're at the swim pool or the beach, which is the most obvious place to put sunscreen on, they are protected, they are aware of what they should be doing. I can't control them at all times, they're teenagers, but they have the knowledge in their back pocket. And I think I've been really influential with my husband as well.
I think most people remember my dad, as he was. Everybody that I talk to about my dad and what they remember about him and how he was is pretty spot on. And that's just someone who was, a great leader, a good friend, easy to talk to, approachable, very fair. I remember when he was diagnosed with melanoma, I was, I had heard of it before and kind of knew what it was. I didn't know much about melanoma at the time and what, how it developed and how to prevent it, where it came from. Probably didn't have a great grasp on the sense that, melanoma can be more than just skin cancer. It can spread to other parts of the body, and that was probably something that I wasn't too aware of prior to that, and didn't really realize, how serious melanoma could be. Before my dad's diagnosis, I didn't probably wear sunscreen as much as I should have. One or two bad burns can add up to quite a bit. And, I think that was probably for me what really opened my eyes to it. I think my dad's melanoma journey just taught me more about probably awareness of melanoma and that, it can happen at any age and any time, but beyond that, obviously looking into the care and what it takes to be a caregiver and help somebody through treatment like that was probably something I learned as well. So those were probably the two biggest things. I think using my platform in NASCAR, to encourage sunscreen use and protection was pretty straightforward for me. After my father's diagnosis and then losing him in 2016, it became something pretty quickly that I knew I wanted to support within my own voice in racing and in NASCAR. And at the track with not only our team members in the sun all day and using sunscreen and having that be important, the fans as well, being in the grandstand, sitting in the sun, it was something that was pretty easy to promote and use and be able to really do that. Erik Jones Foundation started, late last year. We had our first event this year, and, obviously cancer early detection prevention was something that was high on the list for me early on. And, losing my dad to melanoma made it something easy for me to learn more about, and for me learning a lot about it myself over the last few years kind of gave me the inspiration to spread awareness and figure out, how to get people more aware about melanoma, because it's something that everybody's at risk for. It's not really, it doesn't discriminate really. So, it was something I wanted to grow awareness around and really make one of the pillars of my foundation when we got it going.